It's just funny. It's funny, the way you tell the story and everything.
Funny how?
Come here, though. Yeah, he's crazy, see? Who are you?
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Are you ready?
But before I talk about today's episode, which is all about routines and, getting me back to normal, and I think will help you guys get back to normal if things are in disarray. But getting back to normal, I got to tell you, with this podcast, it's definitely kept me sane during this whole time. As you know, I even did a podcast from the hospital when I was in the hospital, but I've always used Ecamm Live. If you're watching me or listening to me, it doesn't matter. I've used Ecamm Live for the audio, the video, the overlays, the sounds, for everything. And it's an incredible platform. It's literally the go-to platform that I use for creating podcasts because it's all in one spot. I press record, all my overlays, everything is already saved in there already because I've created them in there. And then once I press save, then boom, I take that file, I upload it to YouTube, and I put it out on my site so that way, you can listen to it if you're not watching it. But for Mac users, Ecamm Live is the only software that you'll need to actually upgrade your podcasts, your video tutorials, or even like your webcam meetings if you're working from home. It's an all-in-one platform that consistently is adding some really cool features for their members to offer just literally the best production capabilities out there. You can try Ecamm Live completely risk-free. Click the link in my bio and you will get a 14-day risk-free trial so you can try it out and up your video production needs. Thanks for tuning in to the show. I'm your host, Tony Berardo. Today, I wanted to do another solo cast, so to speak. And I mainly want to do it because I'm starting to get back to normal. And I'm doing more of the things that I'm able to do after my lung surgery. And it's been a wicked couple months for sure. But I'm starting to get back to things. And I'm realizing how fucking important routines are. When I was out of a routine and wasn't taking my vitamins, because I couldn't, because once you get done with surgery or prepping surgery, they don't ask you to take any multivitamins or anything over the counter. So, I stopped that for a while, and then I wasn't eating because I didn't have an appetite. So, like, all the things that I normally, and then, of course, working out, all the things that I normally did, I had to just abruptly stop them. And trying to get back into the swing of things has been so challenging. Even, like, taking my multivitamins, you forget about that. Like, because I was stuck in a routine of not taking them that I get caught up in. And, it's true what they say, right? It takes 21 days to form a habit. I think it takes longer. And then in order to break that habit, whatever habit you have, just to get rid of that bad habit is so challenging. And then, of course, working out, I couldn't do that. I'm slowly getting back to that again. So it's been tough to get back to routines. And I think a lot of us deal with this where we can't really create a routine. And then even once we're on it, to stay on that is just so tough because there's a lot going on, right? I mean, things happen. You have plans and it throws off your dinner schedule or your cooking schedule or your family time. And you go off and go do something and it throws it off. And then the next day you forget what your routine is. Like it's really that easy where it might take 1 or 2 days. And I think now more than ever with all this uncertainty and kind of scariness that's going on in the world, it's important that we fix our room first. Jordan Peterson has a great book called The 12 Rules of Life. And he talks a lot about that as cleaning your room and getting your room in order. Pretty much don't go out and start fighting, other people's fights if you can't, get your house in order first, essentially is kind of what it's saying. And I think routines have a lot to do with that. So I wanted to just kind of read this article that I found on entrepreneur.com, and it's really helping me kind of get back into the swing of things. And I know it's going to take a while, and I would say the hardest thing about routines is just do it and don't be hard on yourself. That's the big thing is once you create a routine, if you mess up or you forget something, just don't be hard on yourself. You know, it's not the end of the world. It's totally okay. You know, that's why New Year's resolutions typically don't last for people, is they try to get in this routine of starting something new, and then they fail maybe after a couple days or a couple weeks, and they get discouraged and they don't do it anymore. That's the wrong way to look at that. You know, don't take it too seriously. You know, if you want to do it, that's great. But if you mess up or, you know, skip a day or two, that's okay. No big deal. Hop back on the train and do it again. But I wanted to read this because I think, you know, hopefully some of you might get some value out of this about creating routines. But I'll leave the article in the description below. So if you just want to skip the podcast and just go read it yourself, it's in there. But the first thing it talks about is why rituals are important. A routine is just a ritual. I mean, that's really all it is, just something that you're used to doing. It becomes this habit, and it's a ritual for you, and you have to do it every single day. Like, you eventually get to it to where, you know, it's like eating, right? Like now, if you eat breakfast at 9 a.m., let's say, and you've been doing that for 10 years, there's not a whole lot, aside from an act of God, that will stop you from eating breakfast at 9 a.m. Like, you're in this ritual because you're used to it. You know, if you have a dog, you know what I'm talking about, because once they get stuck in like one ritual or one thing that they're doing, they get on the schedule and they form it. You know, like I started taking, you know, our puppy out when I started feeling better last week, and I just, you know, take him for like a 15-minute walk. But, you know, he's a tiny little guy. He's like 17 pounds. So 20 minutes completely toast him out for like 4 hours. So I started taking him these walks like at 9 a.m. every day. You know, I'd get up, we'd have a cup of coffee, and I'd take him on a walk. Well, we wouldn't have a cup of coffee, not the dog. Me and the wife would have a cup of coffee. Yeah. And then, you know, I would take Oliver out on a walk. And the other day, I really couldn't because I was so busy in the morning that I couldn't take him for a walk till like 10:30. So no joke, from like 9 a.m. to like 9:30, he's at the front door, clawing at the door. He'll start just like, because he knows it's time for a walk. And you can't really hate on them for it. You build up this ritual and this routine that they're used to it. So this is all I know. And, you know, that's a good thing. That's a good thing that happens. So it first talks about why rituals matter. When you don't have a plan, life is uncertain. When you have no idea what's going to happen or when, you can feel worried, anxious, and out of control. I think some of us could relate to that, right? Your fight or flight responses actually kick in at this point. So routines reduce stress naturally because they give you some type of control back, re-engaging your nervous system. Incidentally, this capacity to experience a relaxation response is a prerequisite for getting refreshing sleep. So not only do rituals matter, but it helps combat stress, anxiety, and it gives you back control of the day. So rituals are very important. Next thing it says is create stress-busting rules to live by. One benefit of working from home is that there's less of a divide between these two areas of your lives. So, of course, you know, I work from home. Wife works from home. Some of you out there might as well. But ideally, this will actually help reduce conflict and stress and getting everything done. However, this isn't, you know, true if those specific routines don't work for you if you don't work from home. But I think there's a lot to be said about that because I remember years ago when I was going to a physical location to work, just from getting up, getting dressed, and leaving my house to go to work, that 30-minute drive, 40-minute drive, the amount of stress-inducing things that happen on the way is mind-blowing. And when you really think about it, not only are you getting stressed on the way there, but when you get to work, you're not even ready to go because you're already stressed out. And then you're kind of like trying to catch up to that all day. Then, right when everything's starting to calm down and you're finally like, okay, the day's almost over. Fantastic. Then at 5 o'clock or whenever you get off work, you got to get back in your car, head out into the stressful environment that is the earth, and then you got to go all the way back home. And then by the time you get home, now you're already stressed out and you're seeing your spouse and, you know, your kids and your family, and already you're just not mentally prepared for that if there's stress there. So it could cause a lot of stress. You know, you might get paid less if you work from home, or maybe you get paid more, I don't know. But if you get paid less, it might be worth it to work from home, to find a job that you can work from home, because there's more time in the day that you can actually work, right? Because you're spending less time on the road driving to and from, if it's an hour or 2 hour round trip, whatever it is. But not only that, but now you're actually able to just be in a less stressful environment and not worry about other people. Could be, I mean, I hate to say it, but people are stressful. There's a lot of people out there, and it's crazy. You don't have control over a lot of the stuff that goes outside your four walls. So it's kind of cool to be able to work from home and alleviate a lot of that stress. But another good tip, if you can't do any of that stuff, to avoid those stress busting rules, so to speak, to avoid those, you can locate existing touch points. It says here to grab your calendar and note any weekly obligations that you might have. So just put together some things that aren't going to change every week. Things that are kind of fixed, that remain the same every single week. This might include like meetings with clients, sports that, your kids go to, or education with live stream classes, or, if you're going to school or something like that. These are all good existing touch points. Next thing is gather a to-do list. That's always a good one. I love doing that. If you randomly just have sticky notes, or whiteboards just kind of flittering around, that's okay. That'll work too. I mean, whatever is good for your process. But do any type of items, whether that's maybe chores or tasks, certain to-do lists that you have to do for work, personal, maybe organize them in different color Post-it notes, or if you just want to have a notepad, that's what I do. I just do one big notepad, and then I highlight every time I, need to do something immediately, like that's important. And then I cross off everything that I completed, because I think there's a certain satisfaction of actually crossing it off, like giving that, especially like pen and paper. Like I don't do it on a computer. I do it on pen and paper. Because again, just a certain satisfaction just crossing it off. I love it. It's a little bit of aggression, but it's worth doing for sure. Next thing here is exercise your mindful muscle. Become conscious of the things that you do, and then anything you need to do or that you have done, write it down. So you actually get a form of accomplishment, because every time you complete a task, writing it down and seeing it visually that you completed it could make you feel good and could, relieve a lot of stress as well. Next thing here, it says draft up a plan. So what task can you consolidate and batch together to reorder in a better flow? That's always a good thing. So, a good example is if you're having some errand to run today, instead of, I don't know, if you live in Orlando, let's say, right? And you have to go north 20 miles, and then you're not going to go down south 20 miles from your house and then back up to your house, right? That wouldn't make sense. So consolidate things to where they're a little bit more in order, so you're not doing a lot of backtracking, so you're not wasting a lot of time. That's just one way to kind of organize your daily tasks or weekly tasks, however you want to do it. But put together a plan. Figure out what makes the most sense that's going to be time efficient for you and is going to induce less stress. If you have to go do something, if you have to go grocery shopping, it's probably not best to do it at 5 p.m., right? Where you got to hop on the highway, because most likely it's going to be a stressful environment and everyone's getting off work and everyone's going crazy. Maybe try to do shopping on your lunch break, or maybe do it during the weekend when you're not really worried about time as much. Yeah, it might be a little bit busier, but it's not going to be as crazy for you because you're not going to be in a rush or a panic to do anything. But draft up a plan. You might explore some changes that help efficiency, take advantage of time when you're using your brain power, as that's the strongest way to prevent reworking. So this says that it takes some time to change up habits or previously unconscious ways of being. Give yourself some space for the experiment to unfold, then make changes one step at a time. So it's saying here to try something new, see if it works, write it down. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, hey, no big deal. Try something else. Again, this is where, we talk about don't rush it. Next thing it says here is school yourself on scheduling. So we talked earlier about some touch points. Well, here's some good touch points that this article just has an example of on entrepreneur.com. Again, a link in the description. But like Monday is used for planning and scheduling and marketing. Tuesday is for taking out the trash and for, running errands. Wednesday is just for doing laundry. Thursday is for food shopping. Friday is for finances and other errands. Saturday is for house cleaning. Sunday is for rest and fun. Yeah, so just some very basic, simple things there. Next thing it says is timing is everything. So the brain tends to function a little bit better in the morning for some people. Conversely, though, mid-morning, the body craves movement, right? So we're good in the morning, and then we kind of peak out around noon, 1, whatever, and then our body just needs some movement at that point. It gets a little tired, it gets a little dull. That's why some of us need that extra boost of caffeine in the afternoon. So reverse the morning tasks that require to be a little bit more sharp, creative, and focused. Do that in the morning. So if things are important and you need to be a little bit more sharp, if you work better in the morning, do those in the morning. That might be a best practice for you. And that way your afternoons, you have time to do everything else. That doesn't necessarily require a lot of extra thinking. Being flexible and adapting to unexpected changes and issues is absolutely necessary, but once the dust settles. So, the last thing that says there is essentially, it's okay to make those changes and it's okay to try things, but do it when things are calm. But what I take from that is things could get kind of crazy, especially when you're trying something new or you're doing a new routine. But the best time to do it is when things are settled. I always live by this rule, and you hear me talk about it all the time on this podcast, but, don't lose your attitude with things you can't control. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. And I say that a lot only because, hopefully we don't, we don't all stress out about everything. I could have really lost my ability to do a lot of stuff when all this stuff happened to me a few months ago. And then, of course, we were tested from a family standpoint on a couple things. And, I've had a lot of chances to be upset, to be stressed. But I think the one thing that has kept me relatively sane has been routines. Every routine is different. A routine to me is not the same routine as you'll need, right? Similar to eating and similar to working out. I mean, everybody's different, so everyone's going to need different things because we're all, motivated by different things, and we all have different things that we want to focus on in life, and those drive us to be better, and those drive us to want to do better. But routines are a big factor of that. I kind of look at it like every car on the road is different, but the road is going to the same spot, right? Like we're all going on the same direction. Stick to your routine, whatever your routine is. That's cool. We're all going to get there. We're all living the same life. And, what's perfect to me is not perfect to you and vice versa. And that's okay. So don't worry about what this person has or what this person is doing. Just kind of take what you need, fit it to your life. That's going to make you less stressful. Because even though we're all different, all of our routines are different, the one thing we all could agree on is stress is not good. Just kind of take your time and appreciate what you have. Because that again, that's one thing that kind of kept me sane, during this whole time. And I'm still going a little crazy because I can't really work out as much anymore. And I'm trying to get back to it, but it's discouraging when you try to do something that you're used to doing for so long and now you can't anymore. But then once you realize that you're not doing this for anybody else, you're just doing it for you. That was the thing. Like I found myself creating this routine. I'm like, I'm it's going to take me forever to get back to this because I won't be able to lift this amount of weight or do this or do that. But no one cares about that. Like you hundreds of listeners out there, you don't care how much I bench press. Like only I do. So I'm doing it for me, not doing it for anybody else. And once I understood that I'm doing it for me, then there was a little less pressure. And it's hard because of social media. We think we need to do all types of shit all the time. And we need to look a certain way and be a certain way and talk a certain way. And once you shut all that stuff off and just focus on what's best for you and your family, things are a lot easier. But, put together a routine that's going to make it easy to get there. Because routines will keep you sane. And routines will help you out with that stress. And do it every day. Do it every week. Do it every month. Do it every year. Stick to a routine. We're all going to be fine. All right, friends. That's all I got for you. Stay healthy out there. Peace. I also do want to thank Perfect Keto. Guys, Perfect Keto, this is the way to go. I mean, even if you're not eating keto, no problems. because Perfect Keto has everything you need to help you reach your fitness goals. Me personally, the wife and I do collagen every single morning, which helps skin and hair and nail growth. Vanilla flavors is our favorite, but they have like salted caramel, peanut butter, strawberry. We use the vanilla to actually put in our coffee as creamer. So instead of like using those high sugary creamers, why don't you put something in there that, you know, has some benefits like collagen. But they also have super greens, which is one of my favorite that I put in my smoothie. You've probably seen that if you see me on Instagram post, but it's got 26 fruits and veggies all in powder form. One scoop, you're gonna get everything you need, so that way you're not bombarding your body with tons of fruits and veggies. You feel all full and gross. Yeah, not with this. It's just one scoop. You're getting all the nutrients you need. But they have tons of other great snacks and keto-friendly products. You can visit perfectketo.com and you can use the code TheBerardo. You're going to get 20% off your entire order. Or if you want, just check out the link in the description. I will leave that there so you can see that. But thank you, Perfect Keto. And again, perfectketo.com. Use the code TheBerardo.